Good morning and happy Monday. Jen O'Brien here, WBNL Coaching. Today we're going to talk about how to handle multiple offers, whether you're the buyer's agent or the seller's agent, and a secret weapon, if you will, the buyer's letter. Something that happened over the weekend. I want to really give you some good tips today, whether you're on the buying side or the selling side, because we're still in multiple offers. That's what we're going to cover today. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you can get notified when we are going live or when we put a new video up, which is basically 3 to 4 times a week. So we got something for everybody. Let's bring Matt in here. And Matt,
hello there.
Happy holidays or happy into the new year.
You know what I love, Janet Bryan? I can't wait to hear about the tip that you have boots on the ground info about from this past weekend. Holiday weekend, too.
Seriously. So a couple things happened this weekend with our team. So let's just dive right into it. So one of our team members, Tina, a seasoned pro, had a new listing and in a certain price point. This is how it is across the country, in my opinion, still with low inventory. Anything under $300,000 here in Las Vegas with the average median sales price. The median sales price is right around $345. So anything under 300 is just getting scooped up. Okay, so she listed a new property. She got ultimately 7 offers. And so I want to go through, man, this whole situation had every glaring error that agents can make, in my opinion. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is the power of the buyer letter. Okay, and what I mean by that is even if you're not in a multiple offer, I think that not one agent in these 7 offers had the buyer compose a personal letter laying out why they wanted the house. Okay. Now, I just have to tell you that I think you should be doing that. If you are a buyer's agent and you're not doing that, you're losing one of the best kept secrets. Clearly, because out of 7 agents in 7 different companies, not one of them did this when they knew they were in multiple offers. Okay, so that was the glaring mistake number 1. Now, what do we mean by what needs to be in here? This is not something that you do. Now, if the buyer and seller, the buyers don't want to write this compelling sort of letter about whatever their story is, why they love the house so much, it's about connecting with the sellers on a, rapport level, or there's something we've been searching for months and lost 5 different houses and we love your backyard and we can see. I recently got one on one of my listings that was just so well composed. They were describing what they would be doing when they moved into the house. It makes the difference with the seller. It can make the difference in the deciding factor, in my opinion, and by my experience, when all things are equal. Now, when it comes down to it, most people are going to choose the most qualified, what's getting them the highest net. Okay, so there's that pragmatic side of accepting an offer, right, Matt? But when you have things that are well within $500 to $1,000 and somebody writes a letter, I just think it can pull on the heartstrings of the seller. I have 2 cases in my last year where it absolutely happened that way. And then since then, we've been, making sure our agents know to do this. So that was glaring mistake number 1. We had another situation in these 7s that was just crazy. And this has been happening for years, and this is a pet peeve of mine. Tina finds out a couple hours, 2-3 hours into this whole process, and from the time that this one agent emailed the offer. Okay, get this. Emailed the offer, never bothered picking up the phone and calling or texting to say, hey, Tina, I have an offer. Or to call and see is there multiple offers or anything. Just 2-3 hours later, didn't hear from her. So they, texted and say, hey, did you get my offer? Well, it was in her spam. Okay. Oh. So that agent, and it wasn't the best offer. Wow. Didn't make the phone call to find out there were multiple offers, even though the MLS said in multiple offers. Okay. Because, on her side, she's doing the right thing, letting the people know that as she received offers, you're in a multiple offer. We're going to be presenting later. You have an opportunity to present your best offer. She didn't put that in writing. She didn't need to, but she communicated that with them. So that's just crazy to me. Can you imagine you're representing a buyer and it's like, oh, they never got it because it went into spam and I was too freaking lazy to pick up the phone and make a phone call.
Think how often that would happen if you don't notify them another way. That's just malpractice. It happens all
the time, Matt. And this is not a new phenomenon.
Wow.
The broker, with the advent of cell phones, and people have just gone into this mode of like, the least I have to do, the least communication I have to have. Right. I can do everything via text and never talk to the agent. Huge mistake. So on a positive side, where Tina comes from is what I call collaborative deal making. And this is the tip I really want to get across besides writing this buyer's letter. And what this means is if you are representing the buyer, in this case, obviously we were representing the seller. And if you're representing the seller, you're keeping your your cards to your vest here. And a good buyer's agent is going to find out as much as they can to try to get and that happened with just 2 out of the 7 calling and trying to find out what they could do, what's it going to take to get this done, coming across as a collaborator as opposed to, confronting and adversaries, right? So that's why I call it collaborative deal making. Tina is not going to disclose anything that's going to put her sellers in a bad light, and she has to be careful because you can't say to one, well, if you do this, then you're going to get it, because then you have to, you have a better chance. You have to do that to everyone. So it's better for her to just say, write your best offer, think outside the box. And that's what she did. So only the two of the people did that. And those were the 2 best offers. Again, none of them had this letter in there. But here's what they did do. And this is what is important when you're representing a buyer, to sit down to help them win the bid, is they've got to be realistic. So they were all realistic on price. Tina priced it right. They all came in a little bit above list, actually. So it was listed at 278, 888. I think all offers came in at 280. Okay. Now, 2 of them did a couple things that you can do to sweeten the deal. Is 2 of them came in like a couple thousand, like 2,000 over. They will pay, if it doesn't appraise for 280, they'll pay up to $2,000 over the appraised value, which is super solid. Going above or appraised value is a good one. And a couple of them, the 2 best offers, wrote in paying some of the seller's closing costs. Another great move. Keeping the offer clean, not asking for closing costs. This is the part that you have to get real with the buyer. Buyers, when we're in a buyer's market, which we are not, the buyers can come in at lower prices and ask for closing costs. It's not that we're not getting deals together with closing costs right now, but when you are in a multiple offer with 5, 6, 7 offers, and you're the buyer and you really want the house, you owe it, buyer's agents, to sit down and help the people get real and help them understand what it's going to take. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes losing 4 or 5 offers for the buyer to come to the reality check of, this is what the market is. And then you have investors that started coming into this deal where they're just straight up, we'll do it for cash. And then all of a sudden cash can really make somebody go, well, I don't have to worry about appraisals and all that. But a lot of time the investors are coming a little bit lower unless they feel that they can flip it and bring it up. So those are some realistic things that happened this weekend. And I just wanted to be able to share that today because it's so important to make sure you're communicating. You're doing a good job educating the buyer if you're on the buyer side. If you're on the seller side, you're doing a great job in presenting all the offers and laying that all out. What's the pros and cons of each offer, which is exactly what she did. And then the sellers get to the place of like, what is it? What do you think we should do? Which you should always come back and just repeat. Here's the pros and cons. I don't know. What would you do? This is your house. That's where I think a letter, heartfelt letter coming from a buyer could tip the scales with people, in my opinion. So just want to really, just blown away. I had to talk about it today, Matt, because just blown away that out of 7 offers, these classic mistakes were made. A couple strong offers, three of them or so were very, very strong offers. No letters, and just 2 people try to communicate and see what they could do. Crazy to me. So lessons learned, and I hope you can take that to the bank and get your next multiple offer situation, win the bid.
Promoting offer letters or buyer letters for years and years and years now. So it's crazy to me that people aren't doing that, especially
in any market.
Especially in times with multiple offers going on.
You know what? Let me add one other little negotiation tip, because we had another situation on our team where a lot of times between agents and buyers and sellers, things can get heated because people start to take offense in a situation. And it's, without getting into all the details, it was just about negotiating back and forth over repairs. Okay. Yeah. So repair request goes in, just asking for things that were kind of, mechanical and, electrical and some safety hazards, conditions and so forth. And then we had a situation where we were the buyer's agent here and the seller's agent, and that was over Christmas. So this was coming into, the request went in on a Monday last week, and what was Christmas Eve was on Thursday. They didn't hear back from the agent. Okay. We had a combination afterwards. We discovered, why did it take so long for this agent to get back? Well, we had sellers traveling to go for Christmas into another state, but the agent did not communicate. I ultimately had to call the I happen to know the brokers of the other agent, and I'm like, look, I don't want to, get this agent in any kind of trouble, but man, we've been waiting for 4 days. This buyer's kind of losing his mind because nobody's communicating. And this to me is another major issue for everyone, is the lack of communication in the middle of a transaction back and forth.
Yep.
Is what causes people to, and this is what happened. It got escalated because for 4 days, buyers are waiting for an answer. Because I make a phone call, all of a sudden, Mr. Listing Agent can call my agent and go, well, here's what the problem is, and starts to blame our people for not turning the stuff in on time, and it just became this whole, it's not my fault, it's your fault. And so they responded, the sellers finally respond, and they say, we're not going to do anything. Well, that made our buyers go, and if your buyer is a driver, is somebody who's used to being in charge and negotiating and doesn't like to lose, our buyer took a stance of like, that's it, not going to, that's it. I want to close. I want to cancel and get my money back. Well, unfortunately, their due diligence had expired. That was another thing that we were trying to get done. So all this tenseness was going on over the holiday. Okay. Now, super tense. I'm talking to our agent. I'm about to call the buyer and try to help him see what we're trying to do is protect his earnest money. And then all of a sudden, overnight, changes his mind. So sleeping on it sometimes is a powerful thing to share with someone, but emotions go to play on all sides here. We have a seller going, and then we find out potentially there was another offer. So these things are always happening, can always be happening in a transaction. And it's so important to be communicating, whether you're on buyer or seller side, staying in touch with the other agent, doing this collaborative deal making, come from a place of strong negotiation, but you can do it professionally. Yeah. Another agent's going to respond to you being communicative, collaborating, trying to find a solution. The buyer wants to buy, the seller wants to sell. Everybody wants to get the deal done. Instead of taking these stance of you're wrong, I'm right, it really works if you do that. Well, ultimately, it's on track again now with a little bit of just everybody calming down and sleeping on it, and then realizing, it's not done. It's never done till it's done. However, it was, again, lack of communication that caused everybody stress. And then we build on top of that. It's the middle of the holiday season, which people are stressed out anyway. Right. It just escalated to a place where everybody's like, that's it. And now we're all happy again, trying to get through it. But if you keep communicating, you have to do what you have to do, and you have to document. So that's what we had our agent do, document all these emails, all these texts forever trying to just get this guy to respond. Still don't know why he didn't respond, unless they really were trying to negotiate another transaction and see if these guys would just, there's a lot of things we're speculating, and this is what happens. Without communication, you start speculating, making assumptions. Oh, this is what they're doing. And that starts to get everybody all riled up also. So lessons learned, always communicate, educate, be knowledgeable, help your client make the best possible decisions on the buy side of writing a good offer. Keep the communications clean and do collaborative deal making. And just to close on this, always have the buyers write a letter. And if they don't want to write a letter, then you as an agent need to compose an email when you send your offer outlining what the buyers would have done if they agreed to do it. You with me? So at least you're coming across and telling the story. That really can work too. A well-written email from you as the buyer's agent to the listing agent telling the story, why they love the house, how qualified they are, can go a long way too, because a good agent will forward that when they're in a multiple offer situation. Okay. All right. That does it, folks. So we want to wish you, this is my last tip in 2020. It's my last tip in 2020. We're going to continue with real estate tips, real world stuff moving into 2021 as we start to put some new course materials together for you. We're going to be using this space in our Facebook Live, our private Facebook group, and also on YouTube to really get some great content. Fresh, realistic, what's real world content, stuff that you can use in your business every day. So on Mondays, it's me with your business or real estate tip. Matt's always going to be on Wednesdays. We're trying to settle in on the time, right? So right now it was 7:30 Pacific when we went live. We're probably going to figure out what time that is as we grow our following a little bit more. So Matt's on Wednesdays with Tech Tip. Cosmo's on Tuesdays with Cosmo for the Tech Tip. Matt does Wednesdays. He's doing Canva Corner. There's so much to talk about in Canva. We've just scratched the surface of the things that you can do in Canva.
That's right. Hey, if you missed last week's tip, hit the icon above. Above.
Okay.
And check that out for next week.
Okay, very good. Then we do our podcast on Fridays, and that's all available in the Facebook group. And if you haven't joined if you're listening on YouTube and you haven't joined our Facebook group, it's completely free. We're doing live content. We're wanting to build a community in there where you can come in live, ask questions. If you happen to catch it in the replay, you can ask questions and we'll get back to you. You can do the same thing on YouTube. So we're very excited about that and what we have coming in 2021. Just go to Facebook. I think we have it up. I don't know if you've got it scrolling right now, but the Facebook WBNL Wanderers Club is the name of our group. Just ask to join. We'll approve you and you can join the community, ask questions. We're putting content, uploads, all our videos are up in there as well. And we look forward to continuing to support you and your goals in real estate and beyond in 2021. All right, everybody, we'll see you on our next tip. Make it a great week and Happy New Year.